Raider Nation, what is up? Welcome to my 4th ever episode on my new YouTube channel. So you know what that means. It's brand new. That means you've probably still got to subscribe. You probably still got to hit that little gray bell in the corner to get notified for all my newest videos coming out. And this page has just hit 1,000 subscribers. You're probably waiting for the jersey giveaway. I will be giving away the autographed Derek Carr jersey tonight on this episode. So stay tuned for that. It'll be towards the end. As well as now what we're going to be covering on this show is actually on my Twitter page. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, you should, at Raider Cody. Make sure you pay attention. About once a month, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be asking Raider Nation. I'm going to take all the popular questions, the ones that I think are worth covering. And there's going to be a lot of questions, so I can't take them all. I can't promise you. But I'm going to select a few. I'm going to bring them up here. I'm going to give you a shout out and try and cover them and answer them to the best of my knowledge. So, like I said, giving away the jersey later in the show. Stay tuned, but let's get into this thing. So, I put this thing out a couple days ago. First couple hits. I got a lot of good questions here, so let's cover them. First one now. This is coming from my buddy, actually, Omni Design Graphics. If you don't follow him on Twitter, pay attention to this handle. Make sure you follow him on Twitter and Instagram. The dude does probably the best jersey swaps among not even Raider Nation. I mean, probably the best jersey swaps and player swaps that I've seen in a long time. But his question is, if you could pick only one free agent signing this year, who would it be and why? And this is pretty difficult because actually there's a lot of good free agents out there and a lot of needed areas that we have. But you see guys like Byron Jones, Chris Harris Jr., Robbie Anderson, Emmanuel Sanders, Robert Quinn, all guys that are kind of be attractive in positions to the Raiders. But for me, if I had to pick one free agent to sign, and it's going to be one of the positions that we've struggled at the longest, no, not linebacker, I'm going to say a safety that can cover tight ends and be very athletic. And that's going to be Byron Jones. Now, I get it. Jonathan Abram should be that guy this year that's able to cover guys like Travis Kelce, do those type of things. But Byron Jones is a freak athlete. You have guys like Jonathan Abram that can go in there and be hard hitters. We have guys like Eric Harris that can hopefully play kind of a free safety role. LaMarcus Joyner, maybe he gets involved more with safety. But Byron Jones, a guy that's familiar now, even with Marinelli's scheme coming from Dallas, even why I mentioned Robert Quinn in there earlier, because he's another pass rusher, veteran pass rusher that's familiar with Dallas. But guys like him, I would say Byron Jones would maybe be my one pick. Emmanuel Sanders, not really sure. He's kind of on the tail end of his career. Seems to get hurt a lot. Robbie Anderson, a guy that I like Robbie Anderson, and I feel like it could, upgrade our wide receiver position, but I don't see him doing much different than what Tyrell Williams is going to be doing for this offense when he's healthy. Chris Harris Jr., I think, could be had at a great price, and Chris Harris could maybe take some pressure off of even guys like LaMarcus Joyner just to rotate around and play a little bit more safety in the defense. So boom, Omni Graphic Designs. There we go. Next question. Shane Greeny, shout out at Shane West 15. Yo, Raider Cody, what do you think of a possible linebacker and safety in the first round, then a possible wide receiver in the third round of the draft? Now, I see linebacker as a strong possibility in the first round. Absolutely. You know what I mean? You see guys like Kenneth Murray, Queen. Our favorite, pretty much all around Raider Nation, is Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons is obviously that guy. If he falls at 12, you got to jump on him. But not necessarily, I don't think that's going to happen. But I still see a linebacker early in the draft because we need it so bad. Now, when you jump to safety in the draft, I don't know that safety, as much as, I'd maybe want one in free agency, and I think we have the ability to address it in free agency. I don't necessarily see safety as a need that we would grab in the first round. Hey, now there's a possibility because, you see guys like Grant Delpit from LSU. We watched him in the championship game. Kind of a hard hitter. Not really sure how he'd, get mixed in there. McKinney from Alabama, another top safety. Those probably be the two of the top safeties taken in the draft. Not really sure, but even like I said earlier, I mean, with Byron Jones, I even see another guy. I know your question is about the draft, but I see a guy like Justin Simmons from the Broncos. If you guys remember Justin Simmons, he's kind of even a guy that I feel like maybe fits our need at safety the most and would be available in free agency. And he's not a big name, so I don't think he's going to be a big number. But Justin Simmons last year had 11 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, and allowed a 32.1 passer rating when targeted. So obviously Justin Simmons is one of those guys that I think can fit a need at safety instead of drafting the position early. Maybe we can target other positions like wide receiver. I mean, I know you said linebacker early and safety early, but I'd be really upset if we don't target a wide receiver early in the draft. One of those first 2 picks has to be a wide receiver, in my opinion. So, Shane Greeny, that's what I got for you. So this is from my buddy Jordan Mendez at Cougar Center 74. And he's asking, I got a question for you, Cody. In your opinion, which Raiders Super Bowl team had the best overall group of players? Now, this isn't in really my wheelhouse because I wasn't in that era. You know what I mean? I didn't live it as a fan. All I can do is kind of a little research and base it off some things online, off of what I see and what I watch. And I will admit I'm going to be a little biased here because of my buddy Kenny King Jr. His dad was on this roster as well, and made a huge impact in the Super Bowl, and that's against the Philadelphia Eagles. You guys should know where I'm going with this. That's the 1980 Raiders Super Bowl team. And I'm going to say, I don't think that they're the best on paper. I think our first Super Bowl team, they're absolutely loaded. Absolutely loaded. But coming in here, with Jim Plunkett, Dave Casper, Jim Otto, those guys, and of course, our tailback, Kenny King, coming in there. And I mean, really, they were the first NFL team, NFL wildcard team to win the Super Bowl. They came in with that underdog mentality, right? They might not have been the best on paper, but I think they're the best in their heart, really. Obviously, they came in and they proved all the doubters wrong. Coming in, they beat a really good Philadelphia Eagles team. They didn't just beat them. It was like 20-something to 10, right? They pretty much rolled through, and the Eagles were no joke that year. I mean, they came out and they were a good playoff team, and they were a good football team in 1980. So I think they're maybe the second seed in the NFC. So, like I said, I got my research a little bit. I'm not like too experienced with it, but I do feel like that 1980 Raiders team is my favorite. And like I said, I'm a little biased because of my buddy Kenny King Jr., but that's my answer for you, Jordan. This is from my good old buddy out of Kansas, Taylor White, at Taylor W. Raiders. And like I said, all these guys I'm picking, if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow these guys on Twitter. Great Raider fans, all of them. Who is the most underrated quarterback in franchise history? Of all time, I'm going to say, among the NFL, I'll say Jim Plunkett. Because Jim Plunkett doesn't get brought up enough whenever it comes to all-time quarterbacks. He even really doesn't come up enough, even just with the Raiders. Of course, Ken Stabler's a fan favorite, but I think Jim Plunkett's right there with him, of course, with the 2 Super Bowls. But I'm going to say as of recent, my most underrated quarterback as of recent for what I experienced is going to be Jason Campbell. Jason Campbell was a guy that came in here and was almost seen as like a stepping stone quarterback. Like, okay, we're just going to sign this guy to get us through these years. Hopefully he can produce some wins. And he did produce some wins. He had one of the best records against division rivals among a lot of the last quarterbacks that we've seen over these last few years. So, yeah, that's going to be my answer there. Jason Campbell, most underrated Raiders quarterback of recent. But Jim Plunkett, keep him in those greatest quarterback of all time conversations. So this is a guy from Berlin at most chocolate with a 0. Interesting. So, who from our wide receiver corps, except Williams and Hunter, will return? So, besides Williams and Hunter, that leaves Zay Jones, Rico Gafford, and Marcel Aitman. I'm going to go with, hey, you have to bring back Rico Gafford, right? Of course, I think we need to address some speed in the offseason, but we have to keep Rico Gafford around. He just moved to the wide receiver position. He was one of those guys even just on the practice squad that bounced all around. He's playing quarterback to imitate Lamar Jackson. He was playing corner. He was all over the place, special teams, everywhere. So now we finally have him set at wide receiver, and he's just breaking, I guess, his mold a little bit. He's getting in there. He's getting used to it. And of course, Gruden's offense is nothing easy to get used to. That's why I think even whenever he was active on the roster, it was hard for him to get a lot of snaps. So I'm going to go with Rico Gafford. So this is coming from Marino Dominguez. And is it unrealistic to expect a playoff berth this year? Not at all, Marino. Not at all, because there was a point this last season in 2019 we were almost not expecting a playoff berth, but we thought it was a really strong possibility. So you give Mayock one more offseason to build this roster, a team that was really close to the playoffs last year, that was just one little stretch run, a couple wins away from making the playoffs this last year. You give him a little bit more time to add some more talent in a growing chemistry team. I think it's for me, first year in Vegas, bringing in some guys, I expect a lot of improvement. those are my expectations. I expect the playoffs 2020 Las Vegas Raiders. So this is coming from Naylor Raider. If, and I say if, DC isn't under center week 1, who would be your number one favorite choice to replace him? Whether it's an upgrade or downgrade. Drafting a guy at our position, 12 or 19, I don't know if there's really an answer. Now, if I had to pick a rookie quarterback and we had to replace Derek Carr, I would say we have to trade up. I'd say we have to get a guy like Justin Herbert, or we have to trade the house and get a guy like Joe Burrow. So I'm not sure drafting is really the option. Drafting a quarterback this year is really the option, at least, to start week 1, really. A guy like Tua, coming off injury, maybe. I don't even know if he even falls that far. It sounds like his medical clearance is coming out pretty good, so I see a quarterback desperate team really going after him high. Jordan Love, maybe. Is he even ready for the big stage? Stuff like that. Going week 1 in Vegas, not sure it happens. A guy that I like, if I had to pick as a fan, I love Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill from the Saints. Dude's kind of a bruiser. He's not even really a quarterback, but he wants to be viewed as a quarterback. So, if I had to pick a guy, not Derek Carr, I think I'd pick Taysom Hill, man. That dude would be exciting as heck to watch in Las Vegas. And we got a double whammy here from Naylor Raider. He popped off 2 good questions. So you guys need to get on this Twitter thing. I had like 40 questions or something popped off. But question number 2, how big of a jump do you see Cleveland making in year 2? Huge jump. Absolutely huge. Obviously, the dude's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He heard the critics last season. Trust me. He was very vocal on Twitter. He was very vocal to Raider Nation. He was very vocal to the media on the impact that he wanted to make to this team. And that really faded away during the season. Kind of, crawling into a hole like, all right, watch. Like, let me prove something to you guys real quick. So, obviously, he ended last season with a statement saying that he's going to come back next year looking like a completely different guy. Being our number 4 overall pick or whatever he was, I expect him to come back looking like a completely different player. I expect him to come back looking like a top 5 pick. Like that's what he was drafted at. And I think he has that mentality, and I could tell maybe he was playing a little out of position. Maybe that's the position the Raiders want him to play in more next season, right? So maybe he comes in bulked up, beefed out, and ready to play exactly how the coaches need him this year, and he turns into that guy, finally, that the Raiders were wanting him to be. And the final questions here coming from my buddy, Corey Sanford. This is a little double whammy. He had a third question asking about the quarterback situation, but I've covered the quarterback situation a few times. Question number 1, what is the biggest thing you'll miss in Oakland, and what are you looking forward to most upcoming at Vegas? Obviously, I think the biggest thing I'm missing in Oakland is the tailgate, right? That's something that's never going to be matched. You can never match that tailgate. Now, we did announce that there's like 7,000 parking spots available for tailgating in Vegas. I think the tailgating would be cool, right? I don't think it's going to be the same, but at least we'll have tailgating to tailgate. What I'm looking forward to in Vegas is having an actual, city. And, don't get me wrong, don't get mad at me, Oakland natives. Oakland was great. But as a Raider fan traveling in, there wasn't much for me in the city of Oakland to really enjoy. There's a few spots to go eat and enjoy around Oakland, stuff like that. But now we get to go to Vegas, and we have, almost a... Besides places maybe like New Orleans, stuff like that, we have a city where you could just walk out the stadium and have the entire city is yours. Go down the strip, go hang out anywhere, have all the casinos, have all the different restaurants. Tourist Central, right? It's going to be fan central. This is going to be Raiders town. Las Vegas is going to be Raider Nation's town. Full blown. You'll find out during the draft. We're going to get a big taste of that. That was good timing for that. So I'm definitely going to say that. Question number 2, what's your plans what's your plans for upcoming content during the draft? Will you live stream again like last year? I'm actually not going to live stream this year. I'm going to be jumping in. I'm going to be at the draft in Vegas. And I'm closing this out with this final question here. I'm going to be at the draft in Vegas, and I will be on a few different networks. You could see me on ABC Las Vegas. I've been in talks with them. They want me on to do some broadcasting. I could be with Mitchell Renz on the Las Vegas Raiders Report, Chat Sports, also on YouTube. I could be making a pit stop and checking out some guys I was just talking with on the radio not that long ago. Silver and Black Today. My buddy Scott Goldbranson. Could be maybe in studio talking with him a little bit. But I probably will be recording and post-producing a little bit of a Raiders fan experience at the draft in Las Vegas. So I'll just get a bunch of clips together, post-produce it, put it together, and post it sometime after the draft when I get home. Do something like that, something cool. So that'll be my content. No live stream personally for me, but the content will be getting pumped out. Pay attention to my Twitter page, and I'll be keeping everybody updated on where I'm going to be. So that's all the questions for tonight, and this is probably the moment you guys have been waiting for, and that's the jersey giveaway. Now, I did, like I said, as soon as I hit 1,000 subscribers, I did a random number draw from 1 to 1,000, and I was going to scroll through my subscribers list until I hit that random person. Just so happens, 486 was the number drawn, so I scrolled down, I counted 486 people, and the person I landed on was Bulldogs Bob. So Bulldogs Bob, congratulations, you have won an autographed Derek Carr jersey. And hey, hopefully Bulldogs Bob is a Fresno State Bulldogs fan, because obviously you're really going to enjoy that Derek Carr jersey. So, like I said, ends the show for tonight. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that little gray bell in the corner of it. Make sure you get all my new notifications for new videos coming out in the future. Going to be doing a lot of stuff pretty much weekly. So stay tuned with it. Hope you enjoyed this. This is going to be a Q&A that I do once a month. So until next video, Raider Nation, see you guys.